Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hang out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy's Ted.
This video, we asked the question, skill or spell, what gets the job done better?
Jump down in the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter. It's a great way to get RPG tips as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So we had an email come in to nerdarchy@gmail.com for a suggestion for a video and kind of a question from AJ, I believe it was.
AJ Kinney.
And what do you want to know? His concern is when they're playing a game, they find that sometimes certain skills will just totally negate the use of spells altogether and kind of eclipses the magic. But I think you're looking at it kind of wrong, right? Someone that's really good at doing a skill, that's what they're good at doing. The magic has been designed to overcome a problem. And that's, trying to figure out information that's not covered by, a skill set that person has.
So the examples he used was detect magic, detect traps, and locate object. Now, detect traps, if you're searching for them, that's going to be perception. Investigate. Things that you're actively looking for. Now, if you're really good at those skills, there's no need to use those spells. If you don't have that kind of person in your party, then those spells are absolutely going to be necessary. But I feel like if you had, you shouldn't have that type of spell readied if you have that type of character in your party, because someone's going to get it covered.
So there's a couple things. One, the example of using find traps as opposed to using the skill to find them. It doesn't actually tell you where they're at. It just tells you that they're present and the nature of the danger. So it's still actually not even quite as good as the skill itself. But again, if you're traveling with a party and you have people that are good at that anyway, chances are you probably wouldn't memorize that spell. It wouldn't be one of your spells known. It's useful. Now, if you're a spellcaster and you find yourself, without that asset in your team, then you can kind of cover that. But the other thing is that it's automatic too. You don't have to make a check. You don't have to make a roll. There is no chance of failing it. So in that regards, it actually is better. Like, suppose you wanted to use that spell and you do have a rogue, like you could use it in conjunction where you're kind of like taking point and you're detecting for traps. Oh, there's a trap here and this is what it does. I can't tell you the exact spot, but it's in this general location. Then as the DM, I might go to my rogue character player and go, oh, well, you can make your perception check or investigate check with advantage because it's already there and you have a general idea. And you actually know generally what it'll do, so you might have even all those factors to combine will make it you more effective at doing your job.
Right. Now, in regards to the detect magic, and I'm even going to throw in there identify, I feel these things, they wind up being encompassed within the magic item rule set that 5th edition gives you. Now, I don't remember what exactly it says in regards to, oh, can you tell if something is magical just by touching it or looking at it? Some magic items, I think yes. Some magic items, I think no. I don't think an Arcana check allows you to determine if it's magical or not. Do you know it does?
It's not even that. It's you spend a short rest with an item that's magic and you even know what it does.
Well, yes, and that's where I was going to get with identify. But that takes a short rest for you to do that, and you're doing nothing but I'm going to sit here cross-legged, go humana, and see what's going on with this item. Now, generally, we haven't done that in our games.
We've chucked those rules out. As a GM, I think that you have to use detect magic to know if it's magic unless there's something obvious going on with it. And to actually know what it does requires you to cast Identify. That's just how we play. That's not raw. It's not the raw. It's not rules as written. You can do it however you want in your game.
But once you have a wizard with 100 gold piece pearl and a and the Identify spell, okay, great. It's a ritual. It takes a minute. It doesn't cost you anything else thereafter. Done and done. So if you don't have a wizard in your party, you don't have someone with a ritualist feat, and you don't have that one spell, okay, well, then you can go this you can wind up going in this direction, and you can play it that way if that's the way your GM is allowing it. Frankly, I kind of think that's a little just, don't worry about it. Just, grab the loot and move on.
The way I would handle the knowledge checks is, first of all, I would allow them, and if they get a really good roll, or if there's some kind of reason that makes sense for them to know about what they're handling, then I would give them information. But I would flavor that information through more of the history, or more of, so if it's say they find a magic item and they make a history check, well, they might be able to identify it and identify stories about that item. That doesn't necessarily tell you how to use it, or if that really is in fact this particular item, but you think it could be. Or in the case of an Arcana check, you might identify materials that are making up an item that maybe they're often used in creating certain kinds of magic items, or you believe they have magical innate properties to them. So I would use checks that way. Also, religion, you could use that in a similar way if something is connected to a religious organization, a church, a faith, something of that nature. And that's how I would do it. I don't think the skills necessarily outstrip the spells. And the spells too is like instant information. You just cast the spell and you kind of just know where using the skills may require some action. You got to make a check to see if you're successful.
And that's the real crutch of it. If I use a spell, I'm expending a resource because it takes a slot or it takes time if it's a ritual, and poof, you get success. If you decide I want to not expend this resource and I want to just roll a die and hope, that's what it is. I'm chucking this die and hoping I'm getting high enough. Because if you've got a DM who likes to really play around with those dice rolls, you could have a situation where, all right, you roll poorly, you get wrong information.
Yeah, you could absolutely do that. And again, like I said, I would, as the DM, you should flavor the information through the context of the ability they're using. Right? If it's a skill, well, what is that skill and what does that really mean? So if it's Arcana, well, you know about things that are magic. That doesn't necessarily mean you know about every magic item that's ever been created. I actually feel like someone with a history skill has a better chance of knowing specific magic items and specific items, or a religion.
If you're talking about an item that happened to exist during a major event and played a significant role. If you find a +1 sword that was created 2 months ago, I don't think checks are going to be of all that use to you. You might be able to decide, okay, well, an Arcana check might link you to some knowledge about, as you said, components thereof, but it's not going to definitively say, one way or the other. A fighter would be able to pick it up and say, oh, this is really well balanced.
Exactly. Yeah. Or like the mage might go, oh, well, actually, in the scroll work, this is actually this is draconic. This is the language of magic that's kind of been weaved into it. Could mean something, or it could just mean like someone did that.
But it was made for a dragonborn.
Yeah. Or if you were to cast detect magic, you just go boom. Oh, this is magic. You automatically know. Now, again, 5th edition rules, they kind of did things to make things easier, which like our group doesn't play with that because it's not fun. I've never liked that. I've never liked how magic-y 3.5 was. And that, you just, everybody can just know in 5th edition and 4th edition. So that would have to probably be a house rule. You'd have to decide what you and your group wants to do. If you want to video game it and go, oh, you pick it up and it glows and you instantly know, you can absolutely do that. It's whatever's fun for your group.
So then the last particular one was the locate object. And here I have to say that you're using magic to outstrip a large series of rolls, and one set of rolls is not going to counterbalance what that spell can do. It's like, all right, I want to know where Johnny's sword is. Okay, great. This tells me where I'm going. Whereas you need to gather information. You need to talk to people. You need to investigate. You need to track. You need to find all of these clues, build these strain up things together to wind up getting you in the right direction. Both can get you there. the resource is going to get you there quicker. So therefore, I don't think in any way, shape, or form the skill is going to outstrip that spell either.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, because if you're using, if you have to use persuasion, deception, intimidate to basically gather information about you're trying to find an object, a person, a thing, or whatever, that's going to take hours, if not days, if not weeks. Where when you cast a spell, boom, if it's within that radius, then you're going to be able to detect it. And we've kind of done some workarounds in our games where I believe certain spells you can cast through your familiar, and we would just send the familiar out that can fly to locate object and kind of like triangulate locations, and that's going to be far faster and more effective than you having to go from tavern to tavern buying drinks and
Carousing.
And basically carousing. And depending on how your GM runs those scenarios too, there might be a gold cost involved as well.
And if time is a factor, expending that resource is going to get you there so much quicker. So I don't think the skill outshines that spell either. Yeah.
So again, they should enhance each other. I wouldn't worry about it. There's just different ways to get the job done, and it's not so much that one's better than the other, but they have ups and downs to either of them.
They both can get called into question at certain times. Both are necessary, and one is a chance, one is a resource. What are you going to use?
Right, and the amount of time it takes as well too. Even with your detection spells, like that's once you cast it, it's instantaneous. It just happens. I mean, it's not going to take more than 10 minutes, no matter what.
Right.
And some spells that can't be cast as rituals, you have to cast them like Find Traps. You're going to cast it, boom, and within 6 seconds, you just know. Where I would say that a rogue most likely has to spend more time than that searching an area to determine if it's safe or not, if there's traps or not, and then But then the other strength of the character using the skills is just because you cast Find Traps, it doesn't actually give you a way to disarm it. You just know that something bad is over there and the nature of that bad thing.
All right. There's a loose floorboard, or there's a ceiling that's going to collapse on you.
Yeah, it doesn't even give that specific information. So like... the loose floorboard, it wouldn't tell you.
That's true.
It would just tell you something over there and maybe the general nature of it. But the rogue, he's going to actually be able to pick it out. He may actually know about traps and stuff, so he's going to be able to give you much better information. So they're both very relevant in the game. It's like Ted has said numerous times. How do you want to use your resources? Let us know how you feel about traps and spells in your game. I mean, not traps and
skills and spells.
Let us know how you feel about skills and spells and the overlap in your game in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can hang out with us over on Facebook.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.